How many updates? Good grief. Hello, everyone. What happens is when I get a download, I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it soon. It's probably a bit late now to do an update. And then interruptions galore. So I'm here and I'll give the update because until I give this update, I'm not going to be able to move along because that's just the way it goes with a download. So I'm here to give an update because over the last 48 hours, obviously, when I get the downloads and then I get my aha moments, I then process that information and attempt to move on with my life and say, yes, okay, we'll be doing this video later. But unfortunately, unless I actually do the video, the energy doesn't leave me alone. So I do have my cards spread out ready for the next video that I was going to do, but I cannot do it until I complete this kind of information session that I need to give you. Now, with a lot of the planets at the moment, there is a lot of transition going on, and there are some key dates that are coming up that are going to impact us at a collective level. Now, this isn't just for twin flames. This is for us as collectives in the world of what is transpiring, transforming, etc. So if you're wanting a booking, the link is directly below because there is going to be a lot of transformations and transitions in the next 3 weeks. Now, I'll just get my paperwork because this is how bad it gets, paperwork. Now, there is, I kept mentioning this from 2 days date all the way through to the end of the month, and it's quite relevant information. I've looked into the aspects of Juno and Jupiter and Saturn more. Now, when it comes down to it, in mythology and the past, when you do the research, especially when you stumble across the whole aspects of history with Adam and Eve, Juno and Jupiter, they are directly connected, similar to Adam and Eve. And with Juno, Juno is an asteroid. The father figure of Juno is Saturn. Now, at the moment, they are they're kind of working together, and at the degrees they're physically at, they're having a transformation period. Now, through this transformation period, there's various stages. And then I meditated a bit longer and I was like, hang on a minute. In astrology charts, what you know, if you've ever had an astrology chart, Mark will vouch for me on this one, you can literally, if you're moving through your chart, some of it is predestined, some of it is energies and things that will happen in your life, but also at a level you can actually have a skipped step, which means you have moved through that frequency a lot quicker than intended because your soul has evolved at a larger and faster ratio. Now, a lot of what this year has been in a transformation stage, you know, we can look back and we can say in theory, a lot of this frequency has been going on for 2 to 3 years. But when a lot of the planets are asking us to look back to 2008, 2010 and 2012. Now, some of you who were twin flames might have had connections with your twin during that time or soulmates, and it's all interconnected where we're doing a 360. It's like a washing machine cycle and a cement mixer. So old energies and old ways of doing things are coming back. Also history and karmic related ties and lessons. Now, in that subject matter, in the next week, I was listening to something the other day and somebody said, October's going to be, I intuitively said, not in the way you think. Yes, it will be, but no, it won't, because a lot of you that are getting anxious are, how would I put it? It's you're physically tuning into the matrix, right, of what's going on at a collective level. Hi, Stefan. And at that frequency, the anxiousness can be 2 things. It can be a frequency you're picking up from the collective, a frequency you're picking up from planets and downloads. Oh, I swear. Or it can also be from your counterpart. Now, when it comes down to the transformation, this is coming in from the 30th. Now, from the 20th all the way through, there's aspects of throat chakra, of heart chakra activations. Now, with the chakras, The chakras are connected to each astrology sign. So in theory, when I say we can skip a step in your actual natal chart, because we're going through a purging cycle, what's happening is we're moving through every individual chakra point, okay? So Aries is solar plexus, Taurus is heart chakra, Gemini is throat, Cancer is the only one that holds this energy, is third eye, Leo is crown chakra, Virgo, throat chakra, Libra, heart chakra, Scorpio, solar plexus, Sagittarius, sacral chakra, Capricorn, root chakra, Aquarius, root chakra, Pisces, sacral chakra. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because when you're looking at it, what's happening is we have theoretically, we look at the aspects of ascension and we have actually reached up, right? But now we're moving back down again. And what we're doing is we're bringing that frequency and that energy down where we're grounding ourselves. So by this point in time, we're actually moving into Libran season already in the heart chakra realm. So we're going to have aspects of throat and heart chakra going on. Moving into mid-October, we're going to be moving into heart and solar plexus. And then it's going to be moving again. So the ball moves. But what I'm seeing is with certain planets in our hemisphere, we're having certain chakras activated to purge through the ego. Now, when you're born, in theory, you're born in neutral, okay? So you're in the 3D and you're in the 5D. So you're subject to change. Then what happens is we move through a cycle and we move into the aspect of the ego being formed, so to speak. When I say the ego being formed, there's aspects that can trigger the ego to form an opinion or a feeling or a disposition connected to certain frequencies. So that's where the blockages in the chakra start forming. And that's where we can become codependent. We can have, triggers and band-aid effects and situations like that. We then, for those of you who have come into soulmate or karmic related cycles, you can deem the connection with your counterpart, your twin flame, as a karmic cycle. The karmic cycle, in fact, is purging of the chakras. So it's the egoic base being purged through the journey. Now, as you're moving through the chakras, you come into union, you go out, you do the work, and then you're going back to the 5D, into the 3D, and then you're moving back in and back out. So it's of levels, so to speak, to really ask yourself the questions, hey, have you in fact, worked through those blockages within the chakras? That's why when we say do the work is directly connected to your spiritual growth and you skipping a step, so to speak, to move into what your destiny is to be. Now, when it comes to Jupiter is connected to masculine energy. Now, the sign of Jupiter falls into Sagittarius. Now, that frequency does move through next month. Now, I'll give you the dates at the end of the video. But at the moment, what I will say is Jupiter is married to Juno. Now, Juno is feminine energy, and she is ruled by the moon. And the moon, the two chakras that are governed by these two, Jupiter is governed by sacral chakra, which I thought was really amusing. Juno is governed by third eye. So feminines, really, a lot of you, and remember, we've got yin and yang. So we are part Juno, part Jupiter. So in that, to balance that frequency, Juno is only ever required when an aspect of our spiritual growth hasn't done that complete 360 where we have evolved as souls. So when the planet comes in, it is there to actually shape and reform us at a collective level. Saturn is Juno's father. So Saturn is governed by Capricorn, which is interesting because it's a very strict energy. But, whenever I hear the Capricorn card coming through, I'm like, oh, God, do we have a problem here? So it's very strict. So Saturn is asking us to assess those aspects. Saturn is watching over this connection and the connections as such. And ourselves, without information, how can we look at things and how can we move to a point where we can make correct decisions with lack of information? Now, if feminine in theory has been governed by her intuition at all times, the interesting thing is where the planets are placed at the moment with feminines, it's very much in Taurus energy, and Taurus energy is heart chakra. So at the moment, a lot of the feminines are perhaps getting trigger points connected to their heart chakra. What am I passionate about? Was the ego within the chakra wounded? How do I feel directly connected to that? And purging off that chakra can increase as we move into Libra season. So if we think we've had it hard so far, it may intensify as we move into October. And the turning point of dates does come very quickly in October. Now, Shelley and I sat there today very briefly in the morning before I started recording, and just checking into the actual dates. The throat chakra on the 21st. Let me see. Okay. Mercury enters Virgo, throat chakra, 21st. Mercury enters Libra, throat chakra, heart chakra. Then it changes. Mercury enters Libra, Saturn and Capricorn again. It's, how do I put it? Where was the dates? Okay, with Juno and Jupiter. I'm trying to make sure these cards don't fall, but they're falling. There is a date it changes. Okay, so Juno is in 1 degree Taurus at the moment. And it's heart chakra based. So that's feminine energy. Jupiter, masculine energy, is at 28 degrees Scorpio, which is solar plexus. Now, it continues on staying exactly the same, maybe varying in 1 to 2 degrees with Juno in Taurus, but it remains the same all the way through to look, I've got to remember now. Where did I write it? Bear with me. The harvest moon, I believe. And that is on, where's the date? I'm telling you, I've got so many sticky labels, it's not funny. Okay, so on the 8th, the 30th, it starts changing, but we're going to be dealing with root chakra, grounding our energy. Then we move into the 7th and everything changes. So the 7th of October, Juno is at 9 degrees Taurus, Jupiter is at 8 degrees Sagittarius, Saturn is at 8 degrees Capricorn, and they're all working together. You also have Uranus at 0 degrees Taurus and Venus at 2 degrees Aries and Chiron at 0 degrees Aries. Now, the closer it is, generally speaking, it can be a reset button or it can be a do-over. So on the 7th, it very much depends on where you are aligned. Now, the chakras connected to that alone, did I write them down? What we have going on, we have heart chakra, sacral chakra, root chakra, heart chakra, and solar plexus. So we have double of 2. So it can be a time of judgment. So this can be a 360. Now, I think at a frequency level, when you look at it, with Jupiter being in Scorpio, how do I explain it? Jupiter and Scorpio, solar plexus. Really working out what they're wanting in their life, how they're going to go about attaining it, and transferring that out. So it can be a time of upheaval. So there are a few dates really from the 21st through the 27th. Now you've got to ask yourself, if you feel spiritually speaking you've cleared your karma. Now karma can come down to different things that keep coming into your energy field. If you feel spiritually you have evolved those situations, I will be doing a harvest moon video, and that's so that we can tune into what is going on of the new moon. Is it a full moon or a new moon? I think it's a full moon. Of that time, it does fall on the 7th, and that's when the planets do move. But up until that date, they stay pretty much exactly the same, which is really unique. You know, usually you'll see movement. They're pretty much staying stationary in that frequency, maybe for the Taurus energy in Juno moving about 2 degrees. That's it. And then moving back again. So feminines are really working on, okay, what do I want? You know, who do I love? What do I love? Some of you, there can be a split and a T in the road where you'll be going, okay, do I stay? Do I commit to this regardless of the lack of information? Or do I need to move forward? What am I passionate about? Financially speaking, you may actually see a transition in your life happening where you will notice some changes happening. Now, if you see these changes happening in a sense of you're trying to get your finances in order, you're trying to get your health in order and try and keep as grounded as possible, it's actually indicating that these changes are absolutely necessary for the transformation. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up about that. Juno directly is sort of in a time cycle wise from February through to December. The frequency of that asteroid is very relevant and is a life cycle it has when you look at, what would you call it, history, so to speak. So connected to the history of Juno and Jupiter, how they are interconnected, it is to bring about a balance, and there is a huge transformation of energy happening. Now, a lot of you have had to move without physically having any idea, and you are really just going and being governed, not just by intuition, I feel, because a lot of you have through the journey had to use your intuition to really move yourself forward. At this point, it's blind faith. So it's really, okay, you're weighing up the scales on a judgment factor up until that date of, okay, where does it lie heavier, the heart, and where do I want to spiritually move forward to from here? Try not to get too triggered. I mean, go and listen to the Leo King. You can get an astrology update. This is very separate. But from a very brief, input of what I did get briefly listening to the video, they are saying that the energy does change connected to Uranus of Thursday. So from there, we may see a bit more clarity. And we have actually been walking through this matrix quite blind, mainly at an intuitive spiritual level and evolving as things have come. Our energy frequency is going to be more so, but you're going to find trying to balance that after walking through a tsunami is going to be a tad bit challenging, but you're really guided to try and just feel your way through, work your way through this week. And then as we flick over into the new month, be prepared, so to speak. So depending on what's happening in your chart or, what's happening directly in your life on the 3D, if there are blocks, they can come up in a tower moment to show you, to get you aligned correctly to what you spiritually need to be doing. If in fact you are balanced and you purge that karmic cycle and you're in correct alignment, it should flow fine. If it isn't, then there will be things that have to do a 360 and come down to move you correctly. Any questions in relation to this? How are you, Stefan, anyway? Are you looking after yourself? By the new moon. Interesting. Okay, so we need to be fearless. So how do I put it? It's almost like the death of ego. And I did say that moving into the new month, that it will be aligned correctly where we would have the aspect of the death of ego, because there are certain planets moving into different signs. And by the time we get to December, I'd say that energy and frequency has really changed. Knowing that you are ready, looking at your life and seeing that you've done things that you need to do. So you need to look at your finances and you need to say, okay, am I in alignment with what is correct for me? Am I avoiding making certain decisions? Have I created healthy boundaries in my 3D life? Now, sometimes when you're in the twin flame connection or with the soulmate or whoever that may be, thank you, Sally, what you'll find is, generally you don't have those healthy boundaries. And I think for a lot of people in the second wave, they've had to recreate those healthy boundaries. Now, with those healthy boundaries, it doesn't come down to being nasty. It's more feeling very safe and secure within yourself, where you can say to a person, that doesn't make me feel comfortable, I'm not doing that, without worrying about the cause and effect of it, but knowing and being truthful to yourself. So there's no expectation when it comes to, okay, well, if I say to this person or my twin, no, I can't do that because it doesn't feel in alignment with myself. Are you afraid of the outcome of what that may cause? Because that is an alignment related issue. If you are concerned by owning your truth, it's going to cause a trigger point, then it may be something that you can deal with in your 3D life right now, connected to family members, co-workers, people that come into your area, so to speak, your bubble. You don't have to have these karmic energies purged with a twin. They're initially brought to light in situations. And I know after separation with my twin, I did notice perhaps some of the aspects of my attitudes being reflected back at me, even though I wasn't aware I was actually doing certain things. And it was like, wow, okay, that doesn't feel nice. You know, why were you at that? So you will notice the things that you've had to purge through other people, through other connections. And when they come to highlight, it's really healthy to just have that realization of it so that you can get to a point you can go, okay, this time and recent events have been so, yeah, they have been, because you're going through a complete transformation, doll. Yeah, it has been. Look, you find, especially when you're moving through the awakening, in the initial stages, it's like, yeah, you move your job, you know, you move your life, you're moving more into your authenticity. But again, it's like something blocks you, and it is the ego. And that's why it was so necessary for the ego to be detoxified, so to speak. That's about the only way you could really look at what's going on with the ego at the moment. We needed to experience no control, because it's the ego that tells us that we have control. So it stops us from living in the now, so to speak. So by having the shock to the ego connected to the different chakras with different things that directly impacts us, it shows us where we do have control, and it places everything in a very correct perspective. We've had a very egoistic kind of mindset of how the world works. Our world works. So, you know, having money taken from you, you then become more practical in the way you utilize your money. When it comes to what can you control, what can't you during the cash component, you're like, okay, well, I can worry all I like, but ultimately, you know, if you can't do anything about it, it is pointless sitting there ripping your hair out going, what am I going to do about it? It's to get into that meditative state and say, hey, I'm trusting in the universe that everything that I need will come to me, and just release it and use the meditation and push your energy onto a different task until that can be rectified, is a healthy way to handle it. Yes, it's natural that you go into panic, but again, it's purging that ego. It sounds such a jerky way to do it, but it's the way the universe is working with us at the moment. Now, when it comes to the heart chakra, you know, feeling spiritually that if you act a certain way, deal with things in a certain way, that there's going to be an outcome, again, directly connected to expectation. So you're being pushed to a point where you spiritually realize you can plan all you like you're going into an apocalypse. But then on the day of the apocalypse, you know, we're near the bomb shelter. It's just an example. It's like, it's always good in theory to be prepared, but you're the preparation. If you realize you have everything you need, that if a catastrophe was to happen, you're not going to be able to control the world to prevent such. You won't. Your shelter could be here, and you might be in Bali having a pina colada, and do you get what I'm saying? It's like, we're not rational sometimes. Sometimes where have we been too codependent on the grid and not independent enough on ourselves? So you can get to a point, you can look at it. I mean, we had an incident here in Australia most recently where there was a product that was contaminated due to a person that tampered with a product, and that whole industry now has stopped. Yet if you were growing that at home, it wouldn't be an issue. Do you know what I mean? I lived in Europe where we had water once every 3 months, and when we had that water, we knew it was for drinking. Everything else was from the ground, and we would wash our bodies, our clothing, the floor, water the garden, we would recycle. It was a very practical, organic way of living. A lot of people in modern societies, if the grid was to go down, you would really have problems because we've become codependent on the grid. So it's not just codependency as a whole, it's codependent to the bottom, to the base, you know. Drinking your water from a bottle, okay, well, if the water pump got shut off, short of digging a hole and looking for water, what you had in your reserve, that would be it till you could source it, because a lot of these motors generate water out of the ground, you know, detoxify it, so to speak, prepare it for you. So really, it's quite a worrying thing when we do look at how dependent we are on the grid. Just food for thought. And it's only because I've lived on a farm that I realised these things. But I was what one could call a snob, because I lived in modern society, and then it was a very humbling experience for 3 years living on a farm where time of the day was very long. You would work, and every morsel of the food you would eat, you had really earned it, so you enjoyed that food. Toilet out the back, I would wash out of a bucket. I would, you know, make bread by hand, make jams. Everything we ate was handmade. And I was like, no going to McDonald's or Hungry Jack's. I mean, trust me, I missed that. But then because my body had detoxified away from that, I actually found in 3 years living in Europe, I got sick once. So it just goes to show big populations, it's a recycling of the flu. The flu then becomes, what do you call it? They become super flus where they evolve, and then people have no medication to actually immunize themselves against it. Yet when you are in a very isolated situation, you find that that group, that collective gets sick, and it goes around and it's done. So the intensity of your sickness is less, and your body and its immune system builds up very quickly, but it's not subjected to such pathogens. So theoretically you're at risk, but theoretically not, because you're building your immune system up, so to speak. But everything you grew was organic, a different way of living. So now that we are in large populations, there is risk. There's risk. So change is happening, but nevertheless, the dates that I'm seeing are very much from, can be on the 21st. There may be aspects of communication. So you may feel either your throat chakra is closed or opened. Now, when you're having that experience with the throat chakra, don't think it's just you. It can be collective. It can be the frequency that we're getting, that it's clearing the ego connected to your style of communication. But it can also be your counterpart or your soulmate you're tuning into, that is having issues and wishing to communicate, or it could be physical 3D communication by the 21st. Try to talk from the heart, okay? Especially feminines. We're in heart chakra and throat chakra season. And the funny thing is, when it comes down to Venus, some of the planets really, from a third eye point of view, feminine's a third eye, yet we're in the heart chakra. So Venus is head and heart. So be mindful of that in October. Speak from the heart, not from the head. Don't be tuning into what you think is correct to say. If you're speaking lovingly and truthfully, you're in your truth, you're going to be grounded. But if you're speaking from the third eye, your intuition of what you think is correct to say, it's egoistic energy, and it means you haven't purged that frequency. You know, try not to micromanage what you say. If you do need to meditate upon it, it's not saying you're not going to think, but don't let the thought process of the ego contaminate the communication, okay? Now, when it comes down to the 24th, throat, heart, solar plexus, and root chakra. This is during the harvest full moon. Okay, so I'll be doing a video on the 24th. I'll stick that there. If you guys knew how many videos I have to do, I'll get a life one day. Now, on the 25th, we have third eye. Now, be very careful about your intuition, okay? Also, be to the point where you're not letting the ego condition you to a point where you're letting old based energies impact your decision making. Now, obviously, the experiences we have in life do train us to, okay, well, I did that. So if I touch the stove, it's going to be hot. So obviously touching the stove again means it's going to be hot. There could be a different way you could approach the situation. True? So try and be, you're going to be looking into what you are passionate about. You're going to have perhaps some headaches, heart chakra, but you're going to be grounded. So try and keep all your chakras on the 24th through to the 25th grounded. If it means a few days beforehand you're preparing yourself, you're eating healthy, you're eating things that are going to clear and, you know, balance that chakra. You can do oil therapy, smudge sticks, color therapy in those areas, although you'd look like a unicorn because you'd be, what are you confused about? Okay, 24th to the 25th, meditate with your chakras. That's all I'm asking you to do. But if there's communication, by being grounded, you're going to be able to deal with it. That's what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense? Was that simpler? Cool. The reason I've mentioned the chakras, Sally, is because I have seen a connection to the chakras, planets, and zodiac signs. So if you can purge these egos connected to each chakra in a sense of blockages, then you're going to be able to handle yourself in any given situation. Now, don't feel, if you're not wishing to be with your twin, that you're going to be safe. Because if these triggers are naturally to be purged and you haven't purged them correctly, that will come through in a karmic or a soulmate. You won't be safe from that. So when I talk to you from a spiritual point of view, it's to keep you in alignment so you can choose whatever you wish spiritually is correct for you. No judgment here. This is for your spiritual path. So, you know, being fearless, standing in your truth, clearing your chakras to a point you're ready to push forward, because even though people have had tower moments, you can still be to the point where you, how do I put it? You have a better footing, because what wasn't working has fallen down regardless. It may be at the moment you have no choice but to continue forward, but something is tying up, and it may mean also the choice isn't there spiritually because you need to wait for karmic cycles to tie up. But of the 7th, this is very possible. This is a very, very heightened chance. I would say in the next week, it is a great deal of meditation, but it doesn't mean to say that those tower moments won't directly impact feminine either. It can impact both sides because we are both. We're duality. So just be mindful of that. If you are wanting to book a reading to tune into where you're at, book a reading and I can try and help you through it, and I'll tune into your twin energy of what's going on with you or your soulmate. This is collective energy. It isn't just twin flame. This is what is happening for a lot of people. Well, at the moment, the third eye is connected to divine feminine. Try not to meditate too. Okay, when I say meditate, one thing to meditate to release, but if you're trying to manifest or problem solve, at the moment, till Thursday, there's no major information to use to create a solution. Does that make sense? So it's like you're meditating pointlessly. So like you're thinking pointlessly. So a lot of the tension can be through that. It can also be from your counterpart or other people that are blocked, so to speak, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Now I'll be able to do my videos. It's only God knows what time. Disown it. That's okay, Maureen. And I'm just about to leave. Well, I never quite know. Look, I try and get on here at different times. Like I said, there is going to be, I have created subscriptions so that we can actually, I'll connect times in with it. I'll be quite flexible with it, to be quite honest. but I'm trying to create a different one that on the day, if you want to join, and I say I'm going to go into the room, I can give a heads up. And then you can pay a day subscription to come into the room and join us if you feel like it, or you can pick the monthly subscription. So it's going to be very separate to YouTube, where we can do private talks about the blocks. We can get very candid with it. It'll still be similar to YouTube, but it'll be more in-depth, connected to your blocks, what's going on, how to work it through. You may have other people on YouTube that you don't want to actually look at your comments. So it's a kind of more private way of discussing. We can get down and talk about it. Be like, no, really? They didn't, did they? Yes. But yeah, there is definitely changes happening. So do be prepared. Be prepared. Get the helmets on. Get your crystals. Also, on another note, I did meet a person here that I am going to be collaborating with at some stage, more from my website point of view. They do stock singing bowls, pendulums and things to that degree for your chakras and your mandalas. As soon as I get them, I will utilize them and I will hyperlink them onto my website. I'm also getting them to do a almost like meditation with didgeridoo, and it will be purchasable via the website soon. I'm trying to, he's locating a recording studio at the moment, so that we can have meditation tracks for each chakra, but also have the connection to native Australian songs. So obviously I'm very proud of being an Australian, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So as soon as it's here, I'll have it playing in the background and I can do my meditation to it. They do also have didgeridoos, which are all recycled materials and organic. Chakra and Aries is solar plexus. I laugh because it's all to do with your passion, which is funny because that's why I was laughing before. Feminine's is the moon, your intuition, your heightened intuition, your psychic abilities. Masculine frequency is all the, yeah, of course it is. Right, right. But we're both, so we are both, okay? We're head and play, head and play. That sounds bad. The passionate chakra, that is a co-creator, okay? Because we both are creative beings. That sounds better, right? I'm going to get myself shot and thrown off YouTube. Shit. If I do, just come locate me on Facebook, or I'll talk to you there. I do love YouTube, though. Yes, anyone whose birthday it is, happy birthday. I will try in the new year. I'll try this month, but, you know, I'll try in the new year to actually incorporate birthday readings. Obviously, when I started, I had no warning. My dad's is on the 10th, mine's on the 15th, yours is on the 11th. Happy birthday. 12th. There you go. Libran with Cancer rising. It's like, oh, Venus house Scorpio. God help the man. So what else is happening before I run away and leave you and get into my recordings? Mine is the 15th of October. My dad's is the 10th. My nephew's is coming up on the 25th. And I'm very angry at him. I mean, he's very young, but he's stolen my birthday. Like, but at least he's like his auntie. So I did warn my sister. I'm like, oh, you poor girl. He's going to be like bouncing off the walls, Libran, never sleeping. Perfectionist. So how do you get on with her, Stefan? Trust me, Librans are not indecisive. They're just fair. They're a bit too fair. They're like, I don't know. I'm hearing what you're selling and I'm not buying it. Let me meditate on that. I ruin any good mystery. Like if I'm watching a movie, nobody wants to watch a mystery with me. I'm like, yeah. Any movie I'm watching, I'll tell you what's going to happen 5-10 minutes in. People hate me. I would have been a great writer. Yes, it surely is. It's your passion center. Yeah. Which one did I say the masculine was? Jupiter. Masculine is sacral chakra. That makes them more undecided than us. And Aries is solar plexus. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you so I can tune into this and get grounded again. Oh, have fun with that, KK. White light, white light. Oh, I was like, Yildiz, just meditate, go into a trance and come out in January and all be sweet. I mean, that would be nicer, right? Yeah, not Aries, no. I'm tired. I'm doing my best. I get too many downloads. Anyway, anywho, I'm out. That's okay. Like the video so the information gets shared. I don't know what I'll call it. The thing is, you know, what do you call these videos? I mean, they're so mishmash of energy. It's like, okay, well, it's for the collective. But if you write collective, it's not going to be found anywhere. It has been rough. Keep going. Keep going. And then they'll go, about what? Let me meditate on that. Lifesavers. What collective energy lifesaver? What, the dated, updated on title? What about shit show? That'll probably get a few likes. Well, hopefully by next month, with the videos being open, we'll get to the crossover and I will get to do 1 hour of free readings. So share away, click like, and we can get a live 1 hour session of free readings, which I would love to give away. Shit show will do, won't it? Yeah. Get ready for the shit show. Okay. Love you. Bye.